Either, make him happy or feed him information that he prefers to hear. I mean, one of the scenes that we have in the book is him demanding the quote unquote real numbers during a tariff discussion when he is being told by his own staff what the actual numbers are, and he wants Natalie to go get him some different set of numbers that just didn't comport.
Start here because this is the whole story in one scene. The President of the United States is told the real tariff numbers by his own cabinet, and he doesn't like them. So he turns to his assistant and asks her to go find better ones, not more accurate ones, better ones. Keep that image in your head for the next 8 minutes, because everything about Natalie Harp comes back to it.
A formerly forgotten American from California.
Her name is Natalie Harp.
The authors add the detail that makes it land. Harp, they write, was not finding the numbers that didn't exist. She looked. There was nothing to find. That's the job.
Totally devoted to him. In Oval Office meetings, she sits on the chair at the side of the room with her laptop open.
Harp is known for toting around a portable printer and printing stacks of papers and positive press for President Trump on the spot. She's become known as the human printer.
Trump basically...
A formerly forgotten American. That's how she introduced herself on One America News, the far-right network where she was a host. 6 years later, at 34, she's one of the most physically constant presences in Donald Trump's world.
This laudatory stuff, so things that cause her ire, that will also cause the president ire, that goes to him. But in this pile of papers, she's also frequently includes personal notes to him, and notes that, you're the alpha and the omega, the be all and end all. What would I be without you? Weird kind of language.
The nickname sounds like a joke. It isn't. She carries a battery-powered printer so Trump can read on paper instead of a screen, and the stack she hands him is curated, positive press, flattering posts, good news. The filter is the point.
I'd have died waiting for them to be approved. Now with the coronavirus, everyone knows what that feels like to be waiting for a cure. But we've only been waiting a few months. Just imagine what 2020 would have looked like, fighting for your life without Donald Trump fighting for it too. In January, there would have been no China travel ban. Millions would have died. Millions more would have been infected. For there be no record.
Trump's longtime biographer puts it bluntly. Everything Trump reads is funneled through one person. Whatever is flattering, she's searching for. Whatever isn't, she can quietly leave out. One assistant standing between the president and the news.
Thanking Trump publicly for saving her life by signing the Right to Try Act in 2019. She claims that allowed her to receive...
This is the origin story, the one that got her notice in 2019 and put her on that convention stage. She says Trump's right to try law let her access experimental treatment and beat a rare bone cancer. It's genuinely moving. It's also the part the Washington Post went back and checked.
In their new book, Regime Change, New York Times reporters Jonathan Swan and Maggie Haberman also report on letters that Harp has left for Trump. Swan described them as odd, adoring, and intimate.
She has written him numerous letters that she's left for him, including one that says "You are all that matters to me," or some version of that. Raised the eyebrows of the Secret Service during the campaign.
Mine too. Mine are up.
Some of these letters that were left in some of his private quarters.
According to Regime Change, Trump's chief of staff, Susie Wiles, asked, "Where am I?" upon learning about the letters. Harp
in this term, and that makes her fairly significant.
In May, the Wall Street Journal reported that Harp has frustrated some White House officials because she typically doesn't share draft posts with the chief of staff's office, communications aides, or national security officials. The paper also reported that Harp has told others she works for Trump and only listens to him.
Here's the receipt. A former FDA official told the Post the law's promise is mostly rhetoric. The agency already approved the vast majority of these requests. And reporting notes the immunotherapy drugs Harp received were already FDA approved, meaning they wouldn't have needed right to try at all. The founding miracle of her story is, at minimum, contested.
Of Trump's perceived enemies in the book. The fact that he is now the director of national intelligence, I think, speaks to exactly what we're talking about with Natalie Harp in a different context.
I think most people, if you had an employee, because that's what she is, leaving you letters in your personal space telling you that you are the most important thing in your life, you would say, you know what, hon, I think you need to take a vacation. But he instead...
According to the book, she left handwritten letters in his private spaces, odd, adoring, intimate. The reporter's words, one reportedly read, "You are all that matters to me." This is an employee writing to her boss.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point about it, though.
It's on.
That he would
Definitely.
expect this and demand this.
Yeah, it's on brand. And I think it's even more troubling because it shows that he's surrounding himself with people who adore him. There are no conflicting ideas. There's no one challenging him. So if he wants to do something like bomb Iran, or he wants to do something like use a nuke, or he wants to do something like take out Venezuela, there's not a single voice around him that can offer any kind of contrast or challenge, all the way down to his assistant. Everyone is in this circle of sycophants, which is...
Two reactions tell you how unusual this is. The Secret Service reportedly noticed the letters during the campaign, and the woman now running the White House Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, says her private thought was simply, "Where am I?"
Circle of sycophants, which is very, very dangerous.
And you see that more in this administration, this second administration that he's in than the first, right? The loyalty around him is just insane. Look, I have been part of 2 administrations. I have never seen a role like this. It is unusual to have someone basically be a human printer and only put in front of you stories that you like, make sure you keep all the bad stuff away from him. It is it's a disadvantage to the American people because it is important for the president to hear both sides, the good stuff and the bad stuff. It is insane, and I have never seen anything like this. But again, it plays to what Trump likes. Pure, complete...
You can actually watch the pipeline work. In campaign footage, Trump narrates and Harp types it straight onto Truth Social live. The president's voice, her hands. That's not an assistant taking dictation. That's the mouthpiece.
Trump told staffers that Harp was the only one who loved him as much as his wife and kids. "All of you will go off and make money," Trump said. "She'll never leave me."
One of his closest aides, Natalie Harp.
And this is where it stops being a curiosity. Per the Wall Street Journal, she often doesn't run draft posts past the chief of staff, communications, or national security. She reportedly tells people she works for Trump and listens only to him on a Truth Social account that can move markets and rattle allies. This is the clip that went viral in July. Harp standing just off Trump's shoulder, smiling steadily through the whole press session. Critics online found it unsettling. Watch what she's smiling through. That's the backdrop to the smile, the president riffing that maybe a basketball star is a racist in the same session where he claimed Israel wouldn't exist without him. This is the news being made 3 feet away, and the human printer's job is to keep the good stuff coming and the bad stuff out. This is the pivot. Most bosses who found those letters would be alarmed. Trump, the panel notes, found them affirming. The story was never really about Natalie Harp. It's about what a president surrounds himself with and why. Connect the two and you have the real stakes. When the only information that reaches a president is the information that flatters him, the missing voice isn't an HR problem, it's a national security one. A former official who served 2 administrations calls the role unprecedented and the consequence a disadvantage to the public, not the person, the role. In fairness, Trump flatly rejects the book, calling it a joke and 90% fake news, and the White House defends Harp as one of his most loyal and hardest working aides. These are reported anecdotes from a book, not court findings worth saying plainly before the closing line. All of you will go off and make money, she'll never leave me. Sit with that line because it's the thesis. Trump doesn't describe Natalie Harp as skilled, or wise, or right. He describes her as permanent, the one who stays, who adores, who fetches the numbers that make him feel better. Everyone else is temporary because everyone else eventually tells him something he doesn't want to hear. So here's the question to leave you with. If the most powerful person on earth has built himself an information supply of exactly 1, and her whole job is to keep the bad news out, who's actually running the printer? Tell me in the comments. And if you want the stories behind the headlines told straight, subscribe.